if you have negative perceptions of the porn industry, no matter what I say, you will still think, oh, poor June, they were coerced. Oh, they don't know enough. You don't give me any agency because you have already painted anything I say with your own assumption about the industry. And I genuinely like eroticism. Being on set and thinking, how can we make a movie for people to enjoy? It's just like another TV show. Same exact skills, but one is we're getting naked, one we are not getting naked.
Hey there, and thank you for tuning in. We're excited to bring you another great conversation today. If you like the show and want to support us, please hit the subscribe button so we can keep bringing you great content week after week. And if you're feeling extra generous, give this video a like and share your thoughts and comments down below. Thank you so much. And now, let's get into it. Welcome to Unpacking Japan. I'm Toby, and today we welcome June Lovejoy.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming all the way from Tokyo.
Yes.
You're an AV actress,
Yes.
adult video actress here in Japan, and you also organize a lot of events, especially in the cosplay field, and also adult nightlife in Tokyo and more. But we want to talk really about this AV industry experience that you've had over the last few years and kind of understand a little bit how this works, because we don't get too many opportunities to talk about it.
Okay.
So thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
And
I'm
like
excited.
everyone that sits here in front of me, I like to start with getting a little bit of background about you and understand what brought you to Japan in the first place.
For me, it was definitely my education. So when I lived in America, I got a scholarship to go to university in Japan. And that's what brought me here, simple and clean. It was very nice. I'm very glad that I did it. But yeah, my start was education. But of course, I've loved Japan since I was a small kid. When I was younger, I liked things like Pokemon, but I didn't know that Pikachu came from Japan.
I had the same.
Right? We didn't know. How could we know?
I had that conversation recently with
Oh,
someone.
it wasn't you? Oh, okay.
No. I mean that I also just realized, well, I was also playing these games when I was a kid, but I didn't know it was Japanese.
Right, exactly, right?
Yeah.
So I had this profound love for these characters that all belong to Japanese IPs, I guess. But once I found out that this country called Japan makes it, then I became so obsessed with it because it made all these things that I love. And the more I learned about it, the more I wanted to know. And it's so different from America that anything I learned was exciting. So.
Did you seek out the scholarship for Japan specifically? Were you like aiming to go to Japan, or was it kind of just something that happened and you saw the opportunity and you grabbed it?
That's such a good question. I think it was definitely because it was related to Japan. I was already taking Japanese classes, and it was a Japanese like language, like almost like a speech contest, and I won. And I already wanted to one day go to Japan, and this because I didn't have like money. It was a good way to go to Japan, and it was pretty much my only way, I think. My only sound way to get into Japan at the time.
Was this also your first time, like traveling to Japan?
Yes, it was.
How was that trip?
Amazing. The university sent 4 university students, these 4 girls, out and gave us money to go explore Tokyo before bringing me to the university, which was not in Tokyo. And it was my first time in Japan, but I had 4 lovely ladies, college students my age, to just enjoy Japan together as only college girls can do. So we went to Tokyo Sea. I went to festivals together, shopping together, tea parties together. It was so amazing, and I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world, those memories.
Did you quickly feel comfortable here? Because it's quite different. You're from the US, right? So
yes.
Moving to Japan, Tokyo, big, large city, I think except for perhaps New York, there's nothing too comparable in the US.
Oh, to that I have 2 things to say. For me, I moved every year as a kid. So seeing big cities, small cities, all of that was entirely fine with me. But even to this day, something that I can't really come to terms with about living in Japan is I always feel like a zoo animal. I don't know if you can relate, but it was very hard for college student me. So if someone who looks exactly like what most people perceive a Japanese person to look like, stereotypical, if I saw them in America or anyone else in America saw them, they wouldn't think this person is Japanese. They would think, oh, they're Asian American. But me being in Tokyo with those girls, no matter what I did, and even now, I would always be stared at, and that doesn't make me feel flattered or excited or happy, like, oh, I look beautiful. I felt like a creature, like a monster, and I still don't like it. Like, even if I speak Japanese, it's like, what are you? Who are you? Why are you here? Like an outsider. So that was hard for college student me, and it's hard for current me as well.
That's interesting, because I feel like this narrative happens sometimes, maybe especially in the countryside, where people are less used to see foreigners, or when suddenly you're maybe just traveling around and you're in a small village and into the shop, and some people that live there that don't expect a foreigner to shop are like, oh, who's this?
True.
But in Tokyo, I feel like now maybe it's changed a little bit, but you're saying that it's still a similar experience.
Thankfully, it's gotten better, but it's almost gotten to the point where, of course, they know what foreigners look like. They watch foreign movies, Hollywood movies. When I say they, I mean Japanese people. But, and yes, there's a lot of inbound tourists now, right? That's great. But they don't treat them as people who just live. Like, if I'm just going to go get coffee in my neighborhood, which I've lived for like 10 years, if someone gets shocked or like, "Oh, nihongo jouzu desu ne," or "Where are you from? Can you eat natto?" That's tiring to have that conversation every day in my own neighborhood. So that's, I think, where a lot of my frustration. It's the least of my worries, but it's something that is still kind of frustrating.
You just mentioned you've been here for about 10 years, or at least in that neighborhood. Yes. So you came as a college student for university and so on. What was the moment in time where you were like, "Oh, I want to stay here. I want to just keep doing my
before
life"?
I even got here?
Oh, yeah.
I knew it. I know it sounds so foolish, but there's many things in your life where it doesn't have to relate to Japan, but that's your truth and where you want to be, what you want to do. Even as a kid, if you're very creative, you're like, "I don't care what I'm doing, but I want to have a creative job," or "I don't care what I'm doing, but I want to play a sport," right? Maybe you're a sports announcer, maybe you're actually an athlete. Doesn't matter. But I knew whatever I was doing, I wanted to be in Japan. And people say, "Well, how did you know that?" I don't know, but it's just a part of me that I know it to be true, and I'm happiest only when I'm in Japan. But I just feel like it's home. I don't claim to be Japanese. I'm not Japanese, and I think I'm happy that I'm not, because I can tell other people what it's like to be a foreigner here and inspire more people to come and enjoy Japan, learn more about it. But I only feel like home when I'm here. When I'm in America, I feel so anxious and stressed and worried and fearful. But Japan is just nice, and I'm excited to be here.
So throughout this journey here in Japan that you call home, when came the AV industry into play? How did you come into contact with this?
I had been working at my honest-to-God dream company for 2.5 years. I can't name the company, but it still is my favorite thing of all time. And I was the only foreigner there. I was so honored to be working there. My childhood dream had been realized, but it was a very corrupt company. But for all of the Japanese that I could speak, for all of the cultural classes I'd taken, no one ever told me about buraku kigyo, or like black companies, corrupt companies. And unfortunately, I was in one of those. And when I would talk to everyone around me and say, "Okay, what should I do next? I should quit, right?" And everyone's like, no, just, like, do your best to stay here.
Be patient.
Yeah, be patient. Finally, I could not do it anymore. And I thought, okay, I have wasted my youth, like, being patient and doing everything and staying in line here in Japan. I want to do something that is fun, something that I like. And I've always loved eroticism. I've always liked erotic literature, erotic comics. I'm not really into AV, to be honest. I don't like watching live people, but I love literature and like especially the manga form of it. And so I looked into maybe like working at a publishing company or translating for it or doing something related to eroticism. But I still thought that would keep me in the office, right, where there could be corruption or hierarchy that I couldn't deal with. And as I was searching, there would be ads for like AV, or would you like to be an AV, scouts and all of that. And I thought, oh yeah, that could be an option. And I looked into it, and the more I found, the more I saw that there's a lot of management. I would get a manager. There's a lot of contracts. It's very legal and strict in the way that they go about it. And I thought, well, I might as well just talk to them. I have acting skills. I feel comfortable doing that kind of stuff. It seems interesting, and I would like to try it. And the rest is history. I went and got an interview in a building very much like this. White table, white walls, a man in a suit telling me what was about to happen. And
so what kind of questions do you get in an interview like this?
For the interview, they really focus on consent. Like, are you aware that this is the nature of the job? Also, your family there's a high chance that your family will find out, your friends, people around you will find out about you because your face will be on it. Are you sure that you're okay with this? Here are the risks. More so than questions, it was more about explaining to me like what the job would entail and if I was really okay with that. And for my personality type, I was like, this is totally different than what I was expecting them to. I thought I was coming in thinking he was trying to trick me versus him telling me everything, good and bad, about what to expect from this job. But as far as questions, they mostly ask you what you're comfortable with. How many people have you had relations with? What kind of stuff have you done so far? Have you done sex work before? Just standard questions of what they should be asking.
About the part where they asked you, your family and friends will find out, is this something you kind of had at the back of your mind before entering, or were you like totally open about this and fine and comfortable going into that?
Again, I will show that I'm quite a weird person. If my parents or my friends are not paying my rent, their opinion matters very little to me, and in that aspect, because I'm an adult, I can make my own decisions. And if I personally am comfortable with it and I want to do something, I'm okay with it. And I'm kind of jumping ahead. When I debuted, I made a post on my private Facebook that I'm going to do this job. And if you see this work, please don't refer to me as any other name that you know me by, for my personal safety. But yes, I am doing this work, and I told my mother, told my family, myself, because I didn't want them to find out from anyone else, to be surprised, to feel like I lied to them or I was hiding something. So they all know. My mother, she said something that I still feel very honored, because we are not close. We were not close growing up. I actually ran away from home, but I still told her that I'm going to do this job. And she said, okay, please be safe. I know that you wouldn't do anything that you didn't think through and that you weren't confident in doing. And I felt very seen by my own mother. But yeah, I think even people listening now, I would like to say, if you have negative perceptions of the porn industry, anything I say, no matter what I say, you will still think, oh, poor June, they were coerced. Oh, they're misguided. Oh, they don't know enough. You don't give me any agency. You don't give me any sort of self-identity or my own ideals, because you have already painted anything I say with your own assumption about the industry. So if I can, people watching or listening, please just listen to what I have to say and kind of respect my own agency. I guess that's the only word I could use.
So you're in that interview and you're clear about what you're about to step into and what you want to do.
Right.
And you basically say, yeah, I'll do it. And after that, what happens? Do you kind of start working more or less right away? Do you get prepared for, because I imagine when you do this for the first time, it's probably quite a unique experience.
Right. Okay. So this is very fun for me to talk about, because I feel like it's not well known. But what happens after you essentially agree to work for this agency? It's just like other talent agencies, or for Gravure as well. So I join an agency. You have to be in an agency in order to work in professional, regulated adult videos in Japan, the AV industry. And they'll take you on something called Minsetsu Moari, where you'll go around all of these different porn studios, or AV. Am I allowed to say porn? I don't know.
I guess
okay,
so, yeah.
Thank you. I feel bad if they have to like beep or...
I feel like AV is the term used mostly here in Japan.
Yes.
When they talk about it.
I think it's a good way to make a distinction, because AV and Western AV is very different. So I will say AV, thank you. So they take you around to all of these AV studios, introduce you as a new talent, say, this is who we have on our roster now. Would you like to film with them? And you'll go through interviews with each and every company. And the companies, say there's some companies that focus on teacher films or role-playing films or cosplaying films or maybe butt stuff or whatever. They have this sheet, this form that has all of these things, these acts. Which one are you comfortable with? And you like write information about yourself. But what's really interesting is the staff, the representative of that studio, and your own manager will leave the room when you're filling it out. And they will also record you, because it's to show that no one is coercing you to sign or select or anything. And at the bottom of every form, there's also a block of text, a paragraph that says, if you are being coerced right now, please call this number or email this company and we will come help you. So I was like, whoa, I'm being protected. If I want out, I can get out right now. But you just select, like, I've had sex this many times. My first time ever was at this age. Currently, do we have a partner or do you have kids? You fill that out. Just your current physical, like where do you feel the most pleasure? They ask you, oh, my neck, okay. And then, oh, I won't do this kind of play, but I'll do this kind of play. I won't do this, I'll do this. And then what you think you're good at. And then things that you want to try. And so they'll come back in once they give you some time, you show them, and then you'll discuss it, and they'll say, okay. And what's nice is they never bring up like, oh, I see you won't do this. What if we paid you enough? They don't do that. If it's an X on the sheet, they don't bring it up. They want to focus on something that you do well, because they want to make a good film. Because if you release a bad film, no one's going to buy it, and the company's going to lose money, and you won't get any more work.
I wanted to bring up the topic of like protection and safety around actresses and actors a little bit later, but you mentioned it a couple of times already, especially this legal framework that seems to be around it.
Right.
So what are the regulations here in Japan for that industry that are in place to protect actresses from abuse, to kind of also prevent companies from kind of doing whatever they want? And how does this work?
Unfortunately, so this story is from 2019, and the laws at the time, I think, were incredible and very robust, and I felt so protected, more protected than I ever was in my previous company, and I was very grateful for that. But as of fall of last year, I believe, the government released new laws
So fall 2023.
Fall 2023, I believe, yeah, or maybe fall 2022. It's a fall for sure. 2022 or 2023, they released new laws regarding the AV industry, and the laws have become even stricter. And from someone outside of the industry, someone reading the paper, seeing new laws, awesome, those girls are protected more. Everyone in the industry is protected more, great. But actually, they've made it so strict that we physically cannot film anymore. It's even if I get an offer, I just turn it down now. And I think the goal was just that, to kind of halt porn, but with the guise of, oh, we're protecting them. So originally, the way it was amazing. Say, I bring you on set, say, okay, Toby, we're about to film. Before we film, please fill out this document. Please check what you're going to be doing today. We're going to have 2 sex scenes and 1 fake sex scene, okay? And then here's the STD test of the actor. Okay, please confirm it. And we're going to record all of this while you fill it out. Is that okay? Okay, great. And they roll the camera again, and they read through the entire 10-page contract with you. It's with all this legal jargon and saying, if you don't understand a word, let us know. Not because I'm a foreigner. They said to any of the girls, don't understand a word, let me know, explain it to you, and we'll keep moving on. And the reason why they do that is because, of course, back in the day, there were no regulations. There were no laws protecting anyone. So of course, women were being coerced. They weren't really sure of what they're going to do on set. Anything could be asked of them because there were no documents. But the time that I entered the industry was the best time as far as protection for actresses. But now, there's so many new laws, but the worst one, and the one that makes me kind of hesitant to work in the industry now, is, say you and I film something today, like an AV, and in 5 years, I come back and I say, Toby, can we take that film down? I got married, I have kids now, I don't want them seeing it. And you say, okay, yeah, sure. Any money that you or I made on that film needs to be paid back to the studio. So say you made $1,000, just as a random number. In 5 years, that $1,000 needs to be paid back. So you're not actually making any money. You're making money with the hope that no one ever says, take backsies on that film, on that work that you completed. But that law is in place now, I suppose, with the intent of, you can get rid of that digital footprint whenever you want, but you can't. Someone's going to own a pirated version of that. Someone has a DVD. When you pull that video or that DVD, when you pull that film from the internet, sure, you pull it from the official sources. There's pirated copies, and no, the government's not going to each person's house and saying, hey, you got that digital or that DVD copy? Give it to us. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of a strong signal from the government to kind of maybe dissuade people and young people to kind of go into this.
Sure.
But you also mentioned, especially for you, when you were in that room signing the contract, this paragraph about if you're being coerced right now, call this number. And I feel like I've seen documentaries or not documentaries, perhaps reports about how in Japan there is or there used to be, maybe there still is, I'm not sure, links between this kind of nightlife, hostess club industry and the AV industry. And a lot of young girls, maybe especially, are being kind of lured into the host clubs, get into debt, and then are kind of coerced into doing AV to pay back their debt.
Yes.
Is this something that maybe you have witnessed or you've heard of? Is it something that's changing? How is it today?
There are so many things I want to say in regards to that question. We could make an hour video on it.
We've got plenty of time.
But so many, to the point where I want to make notes, because I also work as an erotic tour guide now, and I take foreigners to host clubs, and I see exactly how the host clubs prey on them. But I also, the information that I would like you to have, and also the listeners to have before I answer anything, is when we say AV, there's government regulated official AV that has a stamp of approval by saying, by the government that says, or it's a entity, it's called IPPA, that has said these people are consenting, they are of proper age, they don't have STDs, everything is done kosher. There's that stamp. And then there is AV that anyone can upload on OnlyFans, on Fantia, on just X-rated sites, Pornhub, whatever site. They're different. And so a girl getting coerced and doing something, it's mostly the stuff that is unregulated, because the stuff that is regulated is so hard to fall through the cracks. There's so many things that can support women who are being coerced, and so many support groups that are there to catch her. Okay, to answer your question, have I seen it firsthand? Not seen it firsthand, but I have met girls who say, I'm only in it for the money. So there's A group, B group. For me, I'm in A group. I like doing these sexual things. I'm so happy to work in a sexually charged environment with people who like eroticism and can express themselves and make stuff for people who want to buy it and support that kind of media. And then there is B group, who are people who needed money, and they have, for lack of, this is so mean to say, but no other skills and no drive to go to college or learn anything else. And they think, I can work at a bar, I can, have sex on camera, make some money, and fine. But have I met any girls who are in debt and are paying back the debt via AV appearances? No. However, I can definitely see that, but I do not think it's the regulated one. Currently, in this current age, from my 2019 all the way till now, it's virtually impossible. Of course it can happen. I'm not going to put my foot in my mouth, but I think the AV that they're talking about, these women being coerced, having to pay back a debt, is probably something filmed by someone that the host people know, and they're selling it on their own, because the government would not let that fly. We have to submit so many personal documents and consent so many times on camera and be shown that paragraph that unless they've got a really tight leash on a poor girl, I don't know how that could happen, but it could.
You just kind of classified girls into like a group A and group B. One that really just likes it, enjoys it, wants to do this as a career, and the other group that's in it for the money because maybe they don't have any other skills, or maybe they just don't know what else to do, and they think, oh, this is easy money.
Right.
And interestingly, a few weeks ago, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine, and I was mentioning that you're coming today, and we're going to talk about the AV industry. And he was a little bit against this. He thought, or his arguments were, that we shouldn't give agency or a platform to talk about this and glorify it, because precisely maybe some young girls will think it's easy money. I'll just start creating an OnlyFans account. I'll put some sexual videos on there and get some easy money, and then maybe I'll start doing porn, and maybe I'll start working down there, and then maybe they go down the rabbit hole, maybe they're like, go into prostitutions or so on and so forth. And once you get in there, those videos you just mentioned, they're on there forever.
Ever.
Even if people take them down, they're going to be re-uploaded, someone's going to have a private copy. And so then there's basically no way back, right?
Yep.
So like the document you signed at the beginning, friends and family may see that.
Yes.
You may the girl is in it for the money now, but maybe in the future she wants to get married, and then suddenly she has this, and it's kind of what's your take on this, like this idea of going in there just for the money being kind of an easy way to maybe get entrapped into something? Or
I think it's foolish. I think, of course, everyone has their own responsibility for their own life. It's rude and disrespectful to me and everyone in my industry, because it's not an easy job. Filming for OnlyFans, like selfies or like doing something in private, uploading it, sure, maybe that is easy, but what we do on set and all of the technical details, like every single person on set that I've met on the backside, so cameramen, light people, sound people, editors, they are all college graduates. They've all worked on movie sets, they've worked for NHK or all these broadcasting companies. They have the proper skills, and for people to just say, oh, easy money, let's go. One, disrespectful, but I will put that aside and answer the question properly. I think I get so many DMs from people who, and they're fans, they're well-meaning. They say, oh, you look so happy, you're so vibrant, you're so well-spoken, you're enjoying life. I want to be like you. And I see you doing AV, so for me to be happy, I need to do AV too. And I feel like I have failed them, not because I'm doing AV, but because I'm not expressing myself well. It doesn't have to be AV, and AV is one thing that if you are not aware of what will happen after, or if you don't have a plan or a goal once you can no longer film anymore, and it'll come sooner than most people think. It has nothing to do with your age or your looks. Sometimes your performance is not good enough. Sometimes there's just no money from the studios because people are pirating. There's so many variables that will end your career faster than you realize, and it's not something to take lightly. The digital tattoo is there. I can't even feasibly work in a combini, like convenience store anymore, because I'm sure 7-Eleven would not enjoy all of the rumors of a former porn star working at their establishment. Oh, is that the screenshot?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just pulling this out while you're talking, but keep going. I will, because this ties exactly to what you're saying right now.
I really think, because, for example, the job that you do, when you finish this job, say you want to move on to something else, or you want to make a different career choice, you can. No one's going to say, oh, you were working on that podcast, we can't have you here, right? But my current job does have that stigma, and it will have that stigma. And you can't just say, oh, well, my body, my choice. You have to live with how society perceives you. And maybe they can be a little bit nicer in private, but an overall company not wanting to associate with you because you did adult work is their prerogative, and they can make whatever decisions you want. And to blatantly ignore that and go into AV, that is of your own, that's your own fault. And I don't mean to sound harsh, but it's not easy money. It's so volatile. It's luck, really is luck. And you are working every day for the rest of your life. You are.
So actually, I wanted to bring up a quote that from you, because you recently did a Q&A on social media.
Yes.
And someone asked you, and the question is, for someone wanting to get into the adult industry, how would you recommend it? And so you answer, I'm not going to read all of it because it's pretty long.
Sorry, I went on a tangent.
Basically, quote, I don't ever recommend it. During my panels, I give lots of advice, but it's not something I ever recommend. For sure, start with your own fan club, whether it be OnlyFans or whatever site you like, but industry is not something you need to jump into. And I could read on, and basically your explanation kind of falls in line with what we were saying.
Yes.
It's not something you recommend.
No, I would never recommend it. I think, again, people look at me and they think, oh, they're enjoying their life. Oh, I want to be like June. But what I really wish people would do is just find something that they like. And I genuinely like eroticism. I love being able to create these things for people who want to enjoy it. And I love being on set and thinking, oh, what is a good story for this? Okay, thinking about human eroticism, people who like this fetish, maybe this kind of scenario would be exciting for them. Because even if people want to poo-poo on the porn industry or the AV industry or human eroticism in general, we are all born from eroticism. Our parents did have a fun time, okay? And everyone enjoys some form of it. Now, I don't enjoy AV personally, but everyone enjoys eroticism in general. And I am just using that medium and creating media. So yes, of course, you can bring in sex trafficking and people being coerced and all of that. But my group, A group over here, enjoying it and creating it with people who are very technically skilled and we're thinking about it. We want to make something that our fans and our viewers can enjoy. It's just like another TV show or another. I have a movie production team as well. I have a movie label in Japan, not erotic. We are also doing the exact same things. How can we make a movie for people to enjoy? Let's think about it creatively. How do we, make the story go? Same exact skills, same exact meeting layout. But one is we're getting naked, one we are not getting naked.
So let's go back to that beginning of your journey in the AV industry.
Okay.
You signed a contract, then you go to your first set and you sign other papers, and
Yes.
it's like, okay, you're on your first set day. Do you remember your first set day?
Yes, of course. Yes. I remember my first set. The director was very funny because I wasn't apprehensive about being naked on camera. That wasn't an issue for me. Maybe I have something wrong in my brain. I'm not sure. But that wasn't the problem. I didn't know how to smile for the photos. So I was like, I never really smiled in photos all that much. I didn't really like having photos taken of myself. And he said, Jun-chan, sushi zanmai. And for those who don't live in Japan, I'm sure you know, but it's just a sushi chain with this very happy Japanese man.
Very happy Japanese man.
Thank you, my understatement. Very happy Japanese man with his hands like this and it was just so silly and so out of place. But he was, trying to make me feel comforted. He's just such a silly little guy, the director. And that's how he got me to smile. So if you see my cover photo and that big old smile, that's Sushi Zanmai inspired. But yeah, there was a female makeup artist. I also had a female staff with me at all times. The assistant director was also a woman. Camerawoman was also a woman. And then my director was a male. And then like some other technical background guys were all men. And again, it was just a really fun setting or work environment where we call it ohime-sama tayo in the porn industry, and it's where the actress is just treated like a princess for the day. So they will put my slippers at my feet and wrap me in my robe and say, what would you like to eat? What would you like to drink? They want you to be as comfortable as possible because they want you to make a good film. They're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart. I'm not an idiot. But if you are not comfortable, you are not going to make a good film, and then it will not sell, and they won't make money, and everyone's in it for money. So I'm aware of that. But it was just fun. Just a lot of jokes, giggling, exchanging like, oh, how do you say this in Japanese? Oh, how do you say that in English? And yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I feel like I should give a more profound answer, but my simplest answer is it's just fun.
Is it like a full day of shooting?
Yes, it's like 11 hours.
Wow, that's pretty. You have to wait, prep, shoot scene, take a rest, shoot it again.
Thank you for giving me more to bounce off of. Yes, so go in, sign the documents, go in for makeup, take a shower. You'll meet the actor and face to face again in front of the camera and say, oh, these are my STD test results. Let me see yours. And you look at the camera and say, okay, I've seen his. He's seen mine.
So all of this is recorded on
all
camera?
All recorded. And it's all submitted to that agency that gives the stamp of approval. That says IPPA. Yeah, there's two TPs. And yeah, after that, we shoot some scenes. We finish. They give me a break, maybe lunch, chatting. And the director will come in and say, okay, are you okay right now? Okay, good. Can I talk? Okay, so for the next scene, we'd like you to do this. And this is what we were thinking, this position. Are you okay physically doing this position? And kind of talking it through with you like you would on a regular movie set. And yeah, I mean, again, the acts that we are doing is what makes everyone upset. But the actual course of the day is no different than a movie set.
How often do you film then after that? You do your first movie,
okay,
and then you do like one per week, one per month? How is it how do you imagine this?
For me, when I first debuted, it was 5 films a week. So I was yes, it was very intense. I'm glad I did it because it was right before the pandemic. So I had money to live off of while, unfortunately, other people in my industry who spent a lot, they were unable to have savings. But I'm very grateful that I did 5 a week. Right now, 1 a month because the new law changes. But before the new law changes, maybe 2 a week or maybe 4 a month, maybe again once a week, because you don't have to do as many. I know how to save money. So if I don't physically have to do that many, I will just turn down other offers and then do other things. So in the AV industry, you can also do meet and greets, photo events where fans can come take your photo. You can do bar appearances, guest appearances at events. The sky's the limit with however business savvy you are or what hobbies or interests you have. But at the time, 5 films a week.
Basically, every day you go and shoot for 11 hours.
It was
movie 1, movie 2.
Difficult, yeah. Sometimes 2 movies in one day.
Wow.
Yes, so when people say, oh, I can just, do a little erotic movie for some quick cash. Maybe 1, but you've already destroyed your life for 1 because that will get out. But it is physically demanding work. But something I've just realized by talking with you, I put everything into my films because I'm aware that if the film is bad, people say, oh, June Lovejoy, I watched one of their films, sucked, and they won't buy another one. They will not give you a second chance with your erotic films. So maybe it is easy money for some of these girls, and they're not actually putting in an effort because they're not thinking about the future, about the craft or the quality of their films. So perhaps my personality type is one that would definitely go full ham for any job that I get.
What happens after the shooting day is finished? The movie is done, right? Then your job is more or less finished, but they still need to edit this and so on. And the video is not yet released.
Exactly.
Do you get to have like a screening where you can confirm things or choose if you want maybe something to be cut out of this or?
Such a good question. Okay, not thanks. Okay, as a result of the new laws, now legally I have to get a copy of it, but before, no. So as of, again, like the fall, either 2 years ago or a year ago, if I request it, they have to send it to me and I can check it before they release it. But before, no. But what happens afterwards is they start putting the mosaic on it, the pixelation, because it's illegal to show genitalia on AV here in Japan. And then they will go through, it was like a 3 to 4 month window. And they would, promotion team would come in, and DVD sales are really important in Japan, and DVD events, that's very different from Western, but DVD sale events, so you can meet the actress and buy a couple of her DVDs, and then depending on how many you buy, you get to do different things with her, different amount of time to take photos with her. And that also happens with the 3 to 4 months. They kind of decide, okay, this photo is really nice from that shoot, we will use this one for the packaging, all of that, what text to put on. So that happens on the production side.
You mentioned the pixelation of genitalia because
Yes.
it's illegal to show it in Japan. It's kind of a paradox, isn't it? To have a huge industry for AV videos without actually showing the genitalia.
Yes.
When did that law kind of come into play, or for what reason is it kind of?
It's an obscenity law. I don't know. I mean, for my panels, I have researched this before, but I always read off of notes because it is such dry information and it's boring to me, so I don't remember it exactly. But it's obscenity laws, and it's just the law. And I don't think any politician wants to be the guy or woman to say, hey, let's make it uncensored. So I don't see it changing anytime soon. It's foolish and nonsensical to have it, but it's just the law. I'm not exactly the technical person to ask where did it come from.
But then the production cycle generally about 3 months.
Yes.
You mentioned 3-4 months, and then it's finished, and then the promotional material gets prepared, and then you actually have to attend events. So this is suddenly becoming quite similar to like idol culture, right?
It's exactly like idol culture. Very good connection.
Isn't that interesting for you as an experience to be making the videos and then meet fans who've seen those videos and like shake hands and interact with them? Like, how was that experience for you the first time?
I am like a golden retriever kind of person, so the more people I get to meet, the happier I am. So I was very excited and honored. I was like, you enjoyed my film? Like, honest to God, thank you. Thank you so much for buying it, because if this film sells well, then I can make another one. It means so much to me. And it was really nice meeting the people that were supporting me and seeing them and interacting with them, making that connection, because I'm very much into human connection. And again, it goes back to the B group, or the people thinking they can make easy money. If you don't do these events, you will not sell very well, because again, idol culture in Japan is very big. They want to interact with you. They want to say, I got to meet June and shake their hand and take a photo with them and tell them how much I support them. And that makes them want to support you more. But it also makes me want to do even better for my next film. But I'm always honored to do meet and greets. I like them. And I love doing, like, in Japan, there's also ofukai, where there's like a little party that you host with your fans. You can drink with them, watch a movie, sing karaoke. I don't see that in Western AV, in the Western AV industry or culture. And I think Japan is a safe country. And yes, I've had problems with stalkers and all of that, but I still think as a whole, Japanese fans are able to respect the boundary and the line that they cannot cross. So we can enjoy each other's company and time and the support that both of us give each other without it being uncomfortable, where I could definitely see that happening in like America.
You just brought up stalkers, and I was also thinking, maybe especially with this AV industry, I feel like it's very susceptible to people perhaps getting the wrong idea of, well, I've seen you naked, I've seen you have sex, like, can we have sex? Can we like go out? Do you want to come with me? As opposed to maybe just, let's say you're just a musician and you make a song. And we do see also this kind of behavior in the regular idol scene.
Right.
So how did you react to that experience with the stalker? What exactly happened?
I think it's the same as when people say, June probably didn't have any other skills, which is why they are in AV. Or June moved to Japan to do AV. They don't know anything about me. They don't actually know me. They watch these films and think, they're boning the mailman, so they will bone me too. But it's just a movie. You're not watching Spider-Man and thinking, Toby, I think that guy's name is Toby too. He has webs coming. It's a lack of using your brain cells. It's distressing. It's unfortunate, but in the way that I express sexuality in my films is nothing like how I express my sexuality in private or with my personal relationships. I cannot control how people perceive me, how people hope that I interact with them. But I would say I think it's worse for idols, because idols don't get naked, they don't do sexual acts, and the fans and the stalkers of them think that they can be that person's boyfriend, everything. Whereas the fans and the weirdos who come after me are coming after me thinking, sexually we could do something, but not as harsh as the idol culture, I think.
You said also that the AV industry here in Japan is relatively safe, at least for what is kind of in the official, done officially. Yes. But you mentioned it's very different from the West. Mm-hmm. How would you compare now porn industry, let's say in the US and here in Japan, and how it operates and kind of the main differences you have noticed?
I think unorganized is a word I would use, and unsafe. So in Japan, we have something called Q Komoku for the STD test, and that means 9 different layers of testing. So 9 different kinds of testing, different STIs and STDs. And we even test for herpes. So there's a visual check. If they notice something, like a bump or something, they will take a sample and confirm it. But in America, every single person that I know in the industry says, why would we test for it? We all have it. Yes, and that was very distressing for me as well. So when I did work there, when I would get offers, and I'd say, could you test, even with European makers or European studios as well, could you please test this talent for herpes? I will get tested as well. We don't do herpes testing. That's not on the docket. We don't do that. Well, if you don't do it, please do it for me. But yeah, we don't do it, which now I understand. It's because everyone has it. You don't test for it because you already know that the talent has it. But in Japan, no, they're so strict about it. And it's really nice because if someone, there was a huge outbreak of syphilis recently, not just in the porn industry, but in Japan in general. Most people don't get tested. And what's interesting for our test, at least, it says this person has syphilis. It's in remission. And it's on the sheet. So if you show me your test result, Toby has syphilis, it's in remission. And then I can say if I want to work with you or not. And I like having that extra layer of, again, agency. I get to choose if I want to work with someone. Because if it's in remission, chances of me getting it are low, but maybe I'm not comfortable with it. But in America, not really. Not the layers of support. I've been screwed over so many times by Western companies to the point where I don't even want to do it. I'll just film on my own. Japan they love contracts. They love it. And so does the Japanese porn industry. It's no different. Or AV industry, sorry.
At what point do you started making those, thinking, oh, this is something that could be interesting for me. I want to try this career. I want to get into this. And you started out making 5 movies a week. When was the point where you're like, well, I'm going to keep doing this? Or did you ever second guess, thinking like, oh, maybe I prefer like another area of eroticism than just the AV industry? Because your first thought was maybe like publishing and so on.
On a interpersonal level, sometimes when I interacted in the beginning, when I started doing more cosplay, non-erotic cosplay with other just regular cosplayers, I felt like, oh, maybe I do feel a little bit of shame or guilt because I really want to interact with these people who maybe aren't comfortable with eroticism. And I'm June Lovejoy, and I'm not going to make another account to make people comfortable, but I do have this history. Are they okay with taking photos with me? Or I have really close friends who work in fashion. And I always felt, not now because I'm okay with it and I've talked with them, but I always felt very dirty compared to them. There was a time in my life where I wasn't ashamed of my work, but I was ashamed being next to these people who I love, and I didn't want to inconvenience them. But as far as like a career choice, entering the industry, thankfully my brain works enough to where I thought, I'm not going to be able to do this forever. So what is my next step? How will I'm working at this, so maybe I should make a YouTube channel and interview my co-stars, because I would see a bunch of comments that would say, oh, these poor women, oh, but on set we're like partying, like naked, like dancing, like this is awesome, we're having so much fun. Or we'd hang out, like go to onsen together, go have tea parties together, whatever. We're just normal people. And on these comments there's like feeling sorry for us, feeling bad for us, and completely taking away any of our humanity just because we have sex on camera. That was something that made me feel, I should maybe make YouTube videos, do more interviews, talking about the industry. But anything I want to do, I just do it. Even with erotic tourism, I know all of those places. Most of my friends work at those establishments. I know where people, like what areas are trustworthy, won't scam you, won't do bad things to you, even if I'm not there. So that's why I started that. But my personality type is one where if I want to do it, I just do it.
I'm curious about the financial side of the industry. You mentioned earlier as well that you were happy that you did a lot of movies at the beginning before COVID, because suddenly like work dried out. And you repeatedly mentioned as well, like DVD sales are important, the events are important. Mm-hmm. Like how does it work for an actor or actress in that industry to get paid? I imagine you don't get like a monthly salary deposited in your bank account. It depends on the movie sales. Like, can you explain that a little bit?
Of course. So when you work for an agency, just like any other talent agency, they're going to take a cut of whatever you're paid for work. So when studios pay you, again, it's not the exact amount, but just an easy number for us to visualize, $1,000. My company or my agency would have taken 50 to 70% of that.
Wow.
It's a huge cut. It's very, very painful. And then on top of that, you have to pay tax. And you have to file your own taxes. It's a mess. But DVD sales, you don't get a cut of it, but you do get residuals at the end of the year. It's paid out by another like a different entity. They'll pay you like a percentage, whatever you decided with the studio. So say a bunch sold, you get 5 to 10% or something. It's a nice little bonus at the end of the year. Other forms of income. If you work for an agency, unfortunately, even if you do guest appearances, they're going to take a cut. And even if you run an OnlyFans account, if you use the name that you're assigned, that you were given by the agency, they will take a cut as well. That name belongs to them. That character belongs to the agency.
So June Lovejoy is the name that was kind of assigned to you?
It does not belong to my agency. That is my name.
Oh, that is your name.
Yes, that's my name.
You decided that.
That's my name. They don't get it.
So it's a pretty complex system, and that basically means you're pushed to do a lot of volume of work in a way to kind of sustain, or you need to have very high productions that sell for millions and they know it's going to be a hit and are willing to invest in you as an actress.
Exactly why I wouldn't recommend the job to anyone. It's also luck. So no matter how good your film is, if no one's looking, even this episode, if we put out a great episode and no one clicks on it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So yeah, I didn't feel like I was being pushed. Even when I was doing 5 films a week, my own agency said, June, slow down. There will be more films. You don't have to film every genre. You just started. So glad I did, because the pandemic hit. No one could have predicted it. But yeah, but a lot of girls also, they do like health jobs, like some sort of sex work, erotic massages, whatever. They don't have to do AV full time. And I don't know many girls that solely focus on AV for their sole income.
So it's kind of a side job for many, and they kind of complement it.
If you get a big hit and you're famous and you're getting interviews, you're getting called to all of these places, you can just focus on AV, but a lot of them just mix it in with something else.
There's one aspect we haven't really talked about up until now, is you're a foreign actress.
Oh, that's right. I forget.
You forgot, yeah? Doing this here in Japan.
Yes.
Has that led to maybe some unique perspectives on the matter? Because I imagine the majority of the industry in Japan is fully Japanese.
Yes. I've never met anyone fully foreign that speaks Japanese in the industry, that lives in Japan. I've met people of mixed race, and I've met people who fly in from foreign countries to film here, but no one like me. So hopefully I'm offering good insight into the industry. But for me, I think the kind of roles that I can play are very limited. I can play the foreign English teacher. I can play the housewife, like the foreign housewife that doesn't know much about Japan, so she's tricked into some setting or whatever. I can play the exchange student. I can play the foreign girlfriend. But I can't just play someone's, like, I don't know, neighbor without that foreign label being attached on it. So it does get stale with the amount of roles or the type of role that I can play. And I definitely say, I'm not, okay, English teacher again. But as far as unique perspective, of course I have a unique perspective, but unique experiences, I cannot speak for what it's like as a Japanese person, because I'm not a Japanese person. But I think me being able to speak Japanese and being in this industry where everyone is very tight and close-knit, I get to see pretty much what Japanese people also get to see. I don't get special treatment for being foreign, except when something goes south and I can speak up for myself. But the girls that are in the industry surrounding me, they're all very powerful, and if they don't like something, they just won't do it. They're princesses. So
what is something that typically goes south when you work on the AV set?
For me, what is something that has gone south on a set? I've only had one bad experience. But again, I was protected by the safety net, so I didn't have to pull the foreigner card to get something done. I was already protected by the law. It's not an answer to your question if you want to focus on the foreigner aspect, but I can talk about it.
Yeah, I'm curious about the kind of what happened, or like this the negative experience as well.
My negative experience with AV was one day on shoot. I had this wonderful makeup artist, and she was so diligent. She had like these sticky notes that she would put on each outfit. So this is the outfit for scene 1. This is the outfit for scene 2. This is the outfit for the package, what cover photo, whatever we use for promotional materials. And I had never seen a makeup artist do that. And I thought, wow, she's so good at her job, so diligent for my behalf. Thank you. And we had gotten through over half of the day, and we're about to take the package photo. We call it the package photo, the cover photo. And the director, who had been fine up to then, just turns bright red, almost like a pig, and his veins are popping out. He's like, in angry Japanese, "What is this? Are you effing stupid? Who did this? Why is she wearing this? Why is June wearing this outfit?" And the makeup artist is like, hey, this is the outfit that you told me, that you told me this is this and this. I assigned these numbers to this. He says, did you F up my entire, like, he wasn't paying attention to the outfits, but none of the outfits had been correct, because I guess he told her incorrectly. And it was very scary to see someone screaming like that on set. I'd never seen anyone so volatile, so angry, so unprofessional. And sure, we switched outfits, we made it work, we figured it out. But what made me so uncomfortable, not only the screaming, was at the very end, he came into the makeup room, which is typically only for the talent and the makeup artist. It's like a nice little rest area. And sometimes the director comes in or the AD comes in to give information and then leaves. But he came in and he was like, to the makeup artist, like, are you gonna do something to make up for your mistakes today because you really messed up my shoot today. And it was implied like sexual things. And she's like, please stop. Like, I'm sorry I made a mistake. Like, I'm really sorry. It's just like trying to get out of the situation. And I immediately reported it to my agency and said, don't want to work with him anymore. Like, this happened. This shouldn't be allowed. This is disgusting. And you have a blacklist in the industry, and you can choose what directors or what studios or what actors you don't want to work with, or even actresses. And he is on mine.
So you mentioned it's an industry where everyone knows each other a little bit,
Yes.
So you regularly work with the same directors again.
Yes. So if you don't want to work with them anymore, you don't have to. But unfortunately, he's not popular, but I do not think he's been kicked out of the industry.
We talked a little bit about the perception of the industry, maybe more from a foreign perspective, but I'm curious about the perception of the industry here within Japan.
Okay.
Because, for example, recently I watched this TV show, Tokyo Swindlers. And
yes.
So I was watching the show with my wife and my in-laws, and they were like, oh, she used to be an AV actress. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I didn't think much more of it. But then later I saw her in like random commercials and family settings commercials type. But she used to be an AV actress, so it seemed like it didn't really bother anyone. But I don't think in the West we'd see someone who was an AV actress suddenly doing family commercials or being
exactly.
So how is it perceived here in Japan to work in that industry?
I will answer the Japanese side, but I think for the West, what I've noticed is they want to punish. They really want to punish. So even if, say, we don't do anything on TV or anything, even if a girl who used to be an AV actress retires and she goes to get a medical degree, this was an actual thing, like, get her doctorates, someone at her school finds out, makes a fuss, she gets kicked out of medical school. So even if you are not doing it anymore, if you have done it, you still must be punished. So all of these groups talk about wanting to protect women, wanting to save women, but it seems more like about punishment, but I digress. So about Japan's perspective or perception of AV and AV actresses, everyone is different. I'm not going to speak for everyone, but I do think, thankfully, I will even make a blanket statement, all of the people I've interacted with, Japanese people, not weird. But when it becomes a company setting, does a company want the porn actress, on the front cover of their billboard or on like whatever product they're selling, buy this laundry detergent? Not so much. But on an individual level, I think it's okay. It kind of reminds me with like LGBT. Most mothers, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but I think it ties in. Most mothers are fine if their kid is queer, but they are worried about the overall how society perceives them. But their individual ideals, totally fine with their kid being queer. It doesn't affect them. They love their child. And when I meet people at bars or when I interact with people at cosplay events, I'm like, oh, I'm June. Of course, if they go to my Instagram, they'll see, oh, I'm promoting my AV sales. It's not a secret. But no one, if I say, oh, I work in the AV industry, oh, that's interesting. What's it like? No one has ever treated me badly. And I can still get work outside of that totally fine. But there are companies that say no. But it's not an individual saying. They say, oh, June, we like you. But company as a whole says no.
One of the things you've started doing as well on the side is starting these erotic tours. You mentioned it a couple of times. How did you get the idea to start this, and what exactly is it?
Okay, so I got the idea because I would have all of these celebrities or even famous, like not just AV actresses, but a lot of them coming in from around the world, DMing me saying, oh, June, like you're in the AV industry. That's so interesting. Can we go out and like, can you show me some cool places? And at the time I thought, selfishly, okay, I will go for free and pay for myself for, out of my own pocket, but maybe they'll post me on their stories. Maybe I'll get clout, because you can't get money, then you can get clout, right? That's kind of the way transactions work in this day and age. But that would happen 5 nights a week.
Oh, wow.
So I was spending like 200, 300 USD, I hope the Americans are watching, a night, and it wasn't sustainable. But I thought, I have all this information that people want, I should just be charging for it. And I like taking people out. I love taking people to BDSM clubs or happening bars, which are like swingers clubs, and making sure that they're comfortable, they understand the ground rules, and they can have fun. Because I don't drink alcohol, I don't participate, but I can say, oh, this is what it's like in Japan. These are the rules, all of this. Have fun. And if you need translation or interpretation, I'm here. And it brings me so much joy. I enjoy it more than AV. I've definitely found my calling. I'm very happy. And if anyone's listening and they want to go on a tour, hit me up.
It's interesting that there seem to be quite a few of these like happening bars
Yes.
or BDSM clubs. But Japan as a society has this image, sexually speaking, to be very maybe conservative, and there are regular articles about sexless marriages
Yes.
in the mass media. What is your experience interacting with Japanese on sex and kind of seeing those clubs and seeing also Japanese people
Right.
participating in this?
I think because Japanese society is so rigid. So when you go, even as a child, you're told what to do, even for your future, where you need to go, what you need to study, what you need to say, when you can stand up and speak, when you can sit down. You're controlled so much. And once you become a salaryman or a salarywoman, whatever, you become a member of society, you're controlled again. And now you have these adult desires that you can't really express. But in Japan, because a lot of these places are legal, there's all these establishments where you can go to these places, and they're very secretive. Like, you cannot exchange contact info. You cannot have your phone out. You can't take photos. You're not supposed to. It's against the rules. And if you do that, you'll be kicked out. So there is a level of rigidness within it, but it's to protect everyone so that they can enjoy something that only they can enjoy as an adult, these natural urges, these natural interests for people to have within this setting, that they're told what to do all the time in the day, but at night they can kind of go loose. And I think if American culture was that rigid, at night Americans would party even harder. But thankfully, we're able to be crazy all the time.
So you do those tours with Japanese people, but also foreigners?
Yeah, most of my clientele, it's geared towards foreigners. I've had Japanese people say, but they're fans. They say, oh, I'm a fan of you. Or I have a lot of lesbian women that say, oh, I want to go out to these places with another queer person and feel safe, but also I'm a fan of you. But foreigners, they don't have to be a fan. They're just like, oh, I want to go do these things. I don't know who you are. And I'm like, yay, let's go. So...
What is the reactions of foreigners who, if they are going on these erotic tours, I imagine they perhaps have erotic interests as well and do similar experiences back in their home countries, but doing it in Japan might be different. Do you see interesting feedback from the people you take on those tours? They're like, oh wow, I didn't know this was in Japan, or people do something different here?
I think it goes back to what you were saying about Japan has so much of these places, happening bars, BDSM bars, whatever, that we don't have back home. Even in America, if I took you there and you said, I want to try these places, I would be hard pressed to find those kind of locations without getting explicit invitation from someone. They're even more secretive because they're illegal for the most part, and Americans go a little bit too hard when they are in these environments. Whereas the Japanese ones, we could Google right now, popular SM bar in Osaka, and tons come up, right? But the biggest feedback that I get back, and it always makes me giggle because it's why I do interviews and why I do my YouTube content and why I do my panels, people say, I didn't know this side of Japan existed. Because in their mind, it's just Naruto, Hello Kitty, sushi, tempura, samurai, whatever is like easy to push and easy for advertisers to allow. But it's denying a whole beautiful part of Japanese society that you can only enjoy it as an adult for a certain amount of time, because once you get too old, you cannot enjoy it anymore. Certain parts will stop working, certain body parts won't move anymore. But yeah, they're just surprised. I never knew this existed. It does, and it's waiting for you. And as long as you understand the rules, you're welcome. And like with restaurants too, they say, oh, no foreigners. A lot of adult spaces in Japan too, they will say, none of them say no foreigners, but if you try to go in and you don't speak Japanese, they will say sorry. They're not anti-foreigner, they're anti-bad communication.
Oh yeah, because they
consent.
You need the consent. You need to set the rules of what you can do or cannot do, and if this
Exactly.
cannot be communicated 100% clearly,
especially in a BDSM bar. So
you talked about your social media content.
Yes.
You started doing interviews of other people in the industry. You started sharing insights into the nightlife in Tokyo. Was this a way for you to just kind of, you have this unique experience and you wanted to share this, or was there some other idea behind the?
It was frustration. It was definitely frustration. I didn't like getting, at least with the interviews with people in the industry, I didn't like that people were talking over them and acting like they knew, oh, they're doing porn, so they must have something wrong with them. They must have been coerced. They must have been trafficked. And yet on set, it was just a normal person, like just talking. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go home with my husband and we're gonna take my kid to Disneyland tomorrow. Just normal people. And it made me very angry to see those comments. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to interview them and let everyone hear exactly what I'm hearing from this person's mouth. Because me here saying all of this, there are going to be some comments that say, oh, well, the white person is speaking over the Japanese people again. then go listen to the interviews, because they're saying the exact same thing. And you can't take people's opinions and try to mold them to your own perception, your own values. If these Japanese actresses are just saying, yeah, this is why I got into the industry. And I interview people that say, I got into the industry because I didn't have money. And they talk about it. I don't need to, like at the start of the interview, you don't need me to answer in a certain way for you. Just talk and say my own opinions.
So you talk to a lot of people, and contrary to popular belief, you also mentioned people getting married, people have families, people live a completely normal life.
Normal.
Looking ahead, you talked about some recent changes in the law,
Right.
That makes it more difficult, makes it maybe less interesting for you to work in there. What are the things you would like to see change or develop for the better in the industry in the next few years?
I think the government focuses a lot on production and trying to tighten up the laws to I hope there are people on there with good intentions on whoever's deciding the laws, but unfortunately it's not working right now. But I would really like them to focus on the agencies. I think the agencies are the true villain of the AV industry in Japan, because of the huge cut that they take. They don't offer education. They don't really give you any advice. They're basically the guy with the telephone. So company calls in, says, hey, is June available on the 4th? Okay, 1 second. June, are you available on the 4th? Cool, 50% please. That's it. There's no, I just feel like agencies should be doing so much more. And yes, when I was interviewed the very first time, they did tell me everything, but that's the bare minimum. I think they have the responsibility to kind of support. I feel like they have to, right? This job, there's the one girl you saw on the TV, right? Oh, she's one girl who used to be an actress who was lucky enough, but that's luck. I say we take luck out of the equation and give everyone all these actresses the next step, because they can't do it forever. Or maybe even just makeup artist skills or something, because that's another very common transition. We have a joke in the industry where actresses either become they go into prostitution. It's not a funny joke, but it's not a real joke. Prostitution or makeup artist, because those are the only options that are really presented to us, because we have connections with studios. So becoming if we get a makeup artist license, then, hey, studio, I used to shoot porn with you. Can I be your makeup artist now? That's a easy route, but it doesn't have to be those two selections. I think more responsibility lies with the agencies than they currently have held for them. And if they're taking 50 to 70%, they can do a little bit more.
And avoid maybe sending people or pushing people to go to prostitution to kind of round up.
Oh, but they don't
ones.
push it. It's just they don't have any other options. They would never push it.
No, I mean by push, I mean like inadvertently, because they
yes.
take such a big cut and they're kind of in financial distress, and maybe the only other complementary work they see possible is prostitution.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yes, I think I'm saying it out loud, but I just feel like it is their responsibility. But then I also think it's the actress. Like, the actress needs to think ahead. But sometimes these people, they don't think ahead, and they think this is my only option. And if it's the only thing that's ever presented to them, then of course they're not going to think anything else. But if the agency can say, hey, what do you want to do after you retire? Is there anything, like, maybe we can introduce you to someone? What are your interests? They don't ask things like that.
The next step, the thinking after the career, is something you mentioned very early in our conversation. What about yourself? How do you imagine this kind of or your future in the industry? How long do you see yourself doing this, and what is your plan for later?
I would always like to have something related to human eroticism, human sexuality in some way. I cannot continue doing AV forever and ever, and I don't think I would like to. But my dream would, right now I run a site called Tokyo Love District. It's where I promote events that are in Japan, like BDSM parties, say like women-only queer parties, or parties, at happening bars, swingers clubs. And I take all the information and I translate it myself, or I'll write articles on the porn industry, articles on like AV actress events, and upload it all in English. And I would like to see that get bigger and really be able to focus on my tours and really help people, like, be the bridge for Japan and English-speaking world for eroticism. It would mean a lot to me if I could continue doing stuff like that. But yeah, that's my future goal, and I'd like to continue making music. I make music as well. But I mean, why would I think I could do AV forever? That's full. I wouldn't want to do that anyways. I wouldn't want to do the same job forever.
We We talked about so many things today.
Thank you. It was very fun.
I'm just thinking if I have any last questions
Oh,
that come to
sorry.
mind, but I'm sure there will be plenty of questions in the comments, perhaps, and
Okay.
we can relay them to you and
Okay.
forward them so that people can get their answers, because it is a very vast topic, and maybe we just scratched the surface.
Definitely.
But thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much. I definitely, when you post the video, I do it with all my collabs. I respond to the comments, even if it's not on my channel, but I'll respond to the ones that I find interesting. So if there's something you want to ask, definitely comment.
June will be around.
I will be around.
Answering your questions.
Yes.
But you've answered a lot of mine today. So thank you so much,
Thank
June,
you for being so respectful.
coming, being so open as well to discuss the industry from maybe different angles. And I don't really know how to wrap this conversation up, if there's a summary to this, but I feel like if someone has listened from this from start to finish, they should have hopefully gotten different perspectives and different insights, and maybe from their own make their own opinion and do some more research on it.
I would love that. I'm very happy that for anyone that's listening from the start to the end, I'm very grateful. I'd like to say thank you personally. And yeah, definitely look into it more, or just kind of take some information that you learned in this, and it doesn't have to be erotic. Whatever you do in your life, just do what you like doing, and be kind to those around you, and be thoughtful, open-minded like you were with me. And thank you for the wonderful interview.
We'll put all the links to your channels in the description so people can find you if they want to reach out and ask more questions, and also in our comment section.
Okay.
Thank you everyone for listening and watching. This was Unpacking Japan, and we will be back again next week. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future conversations. And we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this episode, here are a couple more that we think you'll enjoy. Thanks again for your support, and we'll see you next time.